witness the goodness of the Lord, whoever you believe the Lord to be in your life. So that's our prayer, and we wish everybody a very happy 2025. We would all want to be in the new year, and wherever you want to usher it from, we wish you from the very bottom of our hearts a very happy 2025.
Thank you.
Now, where do we start? I think first and foremost, my rights begin where your rights end, and your rights begin where mine end. So that I first want to say something very unpopular to the young people, and you will forgive me. I have fought this administration for a long time, and people know me for it. But I have fought it as an administration, not as individuals. I have absolutely nothing with the person of William Samoei Ruto. But I have everything to fight against the president that is William Samoei Ruto. And people need to know that I will never wake up one day and do the things I have seen people do. I saw photos of the First Lady, put in half naked and all sorts of ugly things. Shame on whoever did that. This is a mother. This is a nation's mother. It is wrong. It is wrong. It is wrong. It is wrong. We are not fighting for the democratic right to be mannerless. We are fighting for the right to express ourselves, to express displeasure. I saw somebody put the image of the president in a coffin. I will say again, you know me very well. I have fought this administration. I wish you had put the image of UDA in that coffin.
Right.
I wish you had put the image of Shah, Chief, and all those funny things. I wish you had put the image of our airport system under Adani in that coffin. Because then this shows that you are fighting the ills that affect us as a nation. Putting someone's father in a coffin, whether you like him or not, is not good. William Ruto is the father to Charlene and his children, and he's the husband to his wife. It is not a good thing. It is not an image even you would want, if your father was president, for people to put him in a coffin. So it is not right. It is wrong. From every angle we look at it as young people, let us show these people that we are mature enough, because what they are asking, I was with the Honorable Mother Karua the other day, and she was saying, we want to pass the baton of leadership to you young people. But sometimes we are deeply worried when we look at the young people that we are going to pass the baton to. Because if we are going to allow to have a country where it's going to be okay for somebody to look and say, you can draw your mother naked and post those photos. I had people call the president names. The Swahili word for fecal matter. Wanamuita tu hiyo Kiswahili word na narudia mara tano on TikTok, and it goes viral. It is wrong. So to that extent, let us not do it.
But no, Mambo,
let us fight.
The guys were saying that same energy that people are using to castigate youth is the same energy that they should have used to castigate guys who killed Kina Rex.
Now let's go there.
Killed young Kenyans.
Let's go there.
Until today, justice has never been served. Kuna watoto bado walikuwa abducted. They've never returned home.
There's something I want us to do. Now we want to go to the administration. Why are young people angry? Why are they drawing you naked? Why are they drawing you in coffins? This is a rebellious child who's gotten to a point where they've realized that every time they go on the streets, the government will take the earliest opportunity to spill their brains on tarmac. And so what they do is they hibernate. The fight changes. It's become guerrilla. Wow. And they no longer face you. And they start now using everything else at their disposal. And I keep telling people the phone is more powerful than any other implement of war that you can think about. Because in this phone, they can take you to Russia immediately. They can take this phone and post images of you and they're in America within 2 minutes. Something that even a bullet cannot do. So the administration should start asking ourselves or themselves, when did young people get to the point where they look at us and see us as dead people who should be in a coffin? It's because they are thinking Rex Masai should have been alive. And a few other young people who we don't know to date where they are, would have. I saw them go to graduation ceremonies. I mean, Professor Kithure Kindiki attended a graduation ceremony of a university. But somebody forgot to remind him that there were young people who were supposed to graduate that year in that graduation square where he was the chief guest, but they did not graduate because he was minister in charge of internal security when these people, the young people were being killed and butchered, and some being collected in dustbins and others being collected in other places that they even had to burn bodies. Yeah. So there is a wrong on every person. But I have always said we have a nation to build. And we cannot build this nation by creating wrongs. I do not advocate that the government should be killing young people. No. It has to be very clear. Arrest any person whom you think has wronged any other person in this country. But the criminal procedure code is clear, and the criminal procedure laws are there. They've been set. Take them to before court within 24 hours. Yeah. Let a judge rule on whether these people are guilty or not guilty. If they are guilty, sentence them. Yeah. If they are not guilty, release them. The problem we are having with this administration is holding people in communicado so that we don't know where so-and-so is. You look for that young person. The parents can't eat. They can't sleep. They're having sleepless nights. I mean, show me my son in a cell. Let me know my son was imprisoned. Akoinda. I can see them. I can take bread to them and soda. That's what I want to know. But don't tell me my son is nowhere to be found. Don't tell me we don't know whether he's alive or dead, because that is not provided for in the law. Now, when you come and tell us the police are not doing the abductions, then we ask ourselves, who are these who are doing the abductions? And that's why young people now are saying they'll take it upon themselves. They'll beat up those people who are abducting people. They will ban those cars. And the reason they are saying that is because these now can only be criminals. If they are not policemen, and if they are not taking people before court, and if they are not registering them in cells and booking them and following the proper criminal procedure, then these must be criminals, and they must be treated as criminals. So yes, on behalf of every young person who has done inappropriate things, as Fanya Mambo Kinuthia, before we close this year, I apologize on behalf of those people who may have written things on social media out of rage and anger and pain that were disrespectful and inappropriate for the building of a nation, because you cannot build a nation by doing some of the things we are doing. Some of the words I had people being called, I wouldn't even utter them on TV. So on behalf of those people, I apologize as a young person. But also to you, government, you cannot continue holding our young people in communicado. Take them before court.
Let me ask, where did the government fail that it sought to now abduct people and it's thinking that that's the right way to go, especially young people? Because you see this in the past government, which was in Moi's era. Then you see this now in this government, and there's not much being done about finding these people that are missing. So where did they fail?
The government failed everywhere because they overpromised. Let's start there. They had a campaign that promised us everything. Kenya was going to become a small heaven within the first 90 days, within the first 100 days. Sisi tutafanya. That nonsense got us here. But I think the president needed to have gotten out of the campaign mode and told people, wait a minute, the reality is different now. We may not be able to deliver this. When they were told that the finance bill is a horrible thing, they went on the streets and took everything that was available, having been bought by Ajaxes, to kill our young people. And that caused even more outrage. I wish they listened. It was cheaper. It was easier. It was a friendlier way to go. So the rage of and up to date, we've never had an apology.
That's
kama wangefika mahali siku moja, they come and say, to the young people of Kenya, we are sorry. Because you cannot say that nobody bears responsibility for it. There has to be someone who comes and says, yani wa Kenya, tumewakosea. We are sorry. We made these mistakes. There are some people who were kidnapped in Kitengela and released 4 months later.
Yeah.
So why don't you just come and say, out of the whatever, 60, 82, we don't even know how many are missing. We are guessing numbers. Out of the ones who are missing, the ones who are alive, we release. And whoever has, don't worry, we are sorry. That's a good starting point.
Well, I'm sure you heard the president when he was in Homa Bay, with the right honorable Raila Odinga. He was saying, vijana wetu, these are the kids of the future. Parents, by the way, do your role in raising your kids well. You don't expect Dava to raise your kids. Was it technically? And then he said he will do everything necessary to stop these abductions. This is not the first time he said that, by the way. Was it technically taking responsibility?
It was an admission of fault on his part. He admitted.
Yeah, he
said, we are going to stop the abductions, subject to you, literally subject to you holding your kids and telling them to stop posting me and calling me Kasongo and so on and so forth. People post you the way they feel you. Mm-hmm. If this administration knew that, when you do a good road, I have seen, there was a time when this road was done from Isiolo to Marsabit, and young people drove their cars there and they kept taking selfies and advertising the road and saying how it's good for a road drive and so on and so forth. This administration has only given people tears to post. And when people post tears, you ask them, why are you posting tears? This administration hasn't given us one thing. I can't point one thing that Kenyans would say, we are taking pride in this, and this is what we have to report about this administration. Right. Yeah. So let them do their work. If today they had created 1,000 jobs for young people, and it's easy, then young people would be speaking about those jobs. But every other time it's a lie about some jobs in Qatar, about some university degrees zilikuwa zinapeana hapa Nyayo Stadium, like a stadium is a university. It's a lot of nonsense that we have seen that we have never seen. And then these young people who've really sweat and put in a lot of hard work. It takes a lot to go to the university for 4 years and become a graduate. Then they see a Standard 2 dropout going all the way and having a PhD and going in front of people and, he's holding a paper that I believe he couldn't read. What do you think the young people who are masters holders who have no jobs feel? And let me tell you why that is dangerous. It is dangerous because these people have a gubernatorial ambition. So they want to use these bought PhDs to go and vie for gubernatorial seats. Some of them will become presidential running mates.
Oh my goodness.
Woe unto us if they became president. Someone who cannot read and write. Some of them, I swear, go look at them. They couldn't read their oath of office.
Yeah,
they couldn't read their oath of office. So if someone cannot read their oath of office, and they are supposed to be in charge of a county, 10, 15, 12 billion. You write a billion, you tell them this is a billion, they accept. You remove 2 zeros, you tell them it's still a billion, they tell you, come on, umesema ni billion. So siphoning money from counties when you have such illiterates is going to be a very easy
I remember somebody was telling me how this country is just run by D- students, and that's why we're here. Yeah. However, where do you foresee these types of protests evolving towards, especially under this, this regime? Because youth, I promise you, they're not going to relent. Yeah, these guys are all out. They're ready for battle of whatever kind. I like how you put it. You said it's a guerrilla warfare. Yeah. Where do you foresee it evolving to? What's going to happen in the near future?
I think we have an administration that doesn't have ears. And if they have ears, they don't listen. And if they listen, they don't do anything. Because one of the first things that this administration should have done, when the young people went to the streets, one of the conditions they gave that they wanted the cabinet fired. At that time, Kipchumba Murkomen, I'll mention here without fear, was the minister in charge of transport and communication. Instead of being fired, he would be transferred to where the young people are, youth, sports, and whatever. And then he failed because we have nothing to point towards him. Under Michuki, we saw what transport happened. Under Matiang'i, we saw what happened to education and later to internal security. So they transferred his incompetence to another ministry. And now he's in charge of interior. What is it telling young people? That meritocracy doesn't matter in this country.
I agree.
So what will happen is what you have seen today. Omutata and a few people, and quite a number of people have been arrested on the streets today because of the demonstrations that they were doing. And I submitted to people. I said, wait a minute. Is this the time to go to the streets? No. In fact, it hurts this government more when we fight through our phones than when we fight through the streets.
Interesting.
I can tell you those small emojis and silhouettes and cartoons are hurting this government more than people on the streets. I told the young people, this government is prepared for your body. They have... The policemen are dressed in a way that a stone thrown at them would never reach their bodies. They have enough tear gas for your nose and eyes. They have batons for your limbs. They have the yellow and red water to spray you from a distance. They have cells. They have kemariamu to carry you. They have prepared for your body. The only one thing that Kenya Kwanza administration is not ready for is the brains of the young people. And if the young people throw their brains at this administration, they will scatter the thoughts of this, because this administration is not ready for your brains. That's why they see those small cartoons, they wonder, what do we do about this? And they can only react by through abductions. And then it's gotten to a place where now we are saying, we are starting to mulika those vehicles. If you abduct, you put the number plates, you put the color, you show where it is, you show where the abduction happened. They are not ready for our brains. When young people decide today and say, okay, this is the number for State House, we are all going to place a call for the whole day, then those lines will be. So there are so many things that young people can do using their phone without necessarily going to the streets. And I'm not saying let us be cowards. I'm just saying right now, in every war has got seasons. This is not the season to be on the streets for young people. Right. I've always said that. This is not, because this is an administration that is insensitive to human life. Don't offer your life to them.
Right.
Give them something they can't handle. We are still in protest. I am on TV right now and I'm protesting. But I will not insult the person of the president. But I'll tell him his Shah is bad. His chief is bad. I'll tell him that Adani is bad. I'll tell him abducting young people is wrong. But I will not insult his wife and I will not insult him. And I don't have time for that, because it's not a personal attack. It's an attack on bad administration.
It's true.
Yes.
JP?
Yeah, I just wanted to ask you, do you think that the government has a total disconnect with its people? Like, they do not know what's going on? And if you were also to speculate, what do you think is going to be the future occurrences in Kenya moving forward as things are just brewing?
Especially for the coming year.
Yes.
I think for the coming year, a lot of things will happen. First is Gachagua is becoming more powerful by the day. When they throw tear gas at prayers, the lowest we ever sank to was when young people were sent literally to disrupt a burial. I have never in my life, and since the independence of this country, seen something so low. The young people who are paid and sent to disrupt a burial. And I remember it was so bad that I saw journalists from a leading media house in this country being told by DCI officers, try your camera. Later, I saw that lady, and those clips are available. They're everywhere. And that is what now put the government at the middle of it. Why would DCI, instead of asking for evidence to see, and up to date, not a single person has been arrested for disrupting a burial. Not a single person has been arrested. Conveniently, the police did not see. They forgot. It was not possible to remember who disrupted a burial. But we are able to remember who drew the president and put him in a coffin and shared on internet. But the disruption of a burial is not even a prayer function. This administration needs to get to the point where they ask themselves, why are Kenyans revolting? But there's a more painful thing. They have tried so much to twist this thing into a tribal thing. I have a famous blogger, I will not mention you, but you know yourself. And your name starts with a letter G. Nakuomba, in the name of God. Stop being used to bring that tribal card into this country. They are even bringing things of 2008 and trying to make this look like a Kikuyu versus the whole of the country. I ask them, I see Alfred Ketel fighting this administration every day. Is he Kikuyu? Yeah. Is Okia Mtata Kikuyu? Is Eugene Wamalwa Kikuyu? This thing cannot be reduced to a tribal affair. We are in a generation of young people who are saying no. Sisi hatujui kama sisi ni Wajaluo ama ni Wakikuyu ama ni Wakisii. We just know that when I go to hospital, she's or Sha or whatever is not paying for dialysis. And it's not asking me what tribe I come from. And when I go and there's no capitation for my child in school this January, they are not asking me, when ni Mjaluo, when ni Mkisii, when ni Mkikuyu. So I want to urge every Kenyan, wherever you are, when you hear any politician bringing a tribal angle to this, kata.
Yeah.
Tell them this is a Kenyan affair.
Let me ask, now that you're stating that that the government is not, okay, first of all, the government isn't really listening to the young people. And now the young people have taken to the roads and the streets in order to make their words known. And they've taken to cartoons and all these social media things. Do you think it's because they've tried to speak to the government, but the government has actually blocked their ears off of the people, that the result of that this is the only way we can actually get our voice heard? Because you saw how the Mandamano in June had such a huge effect that was being seen even in the States, and it made the bill get dropped. And they realized the only way the government actually reacts and pays attention is when they see violence, because that's the only language they understand. It's come to that point.
I'll say one thing. If there's one thing Fanya Mambo is guilty of, you know very well, and people who followed my work, that in November 2023, this mad guy here was speaking finance bill. November 2023. Very few people were talking about taxation.
You're one of the first people.
And, yes, and I said the next big fight in this country, and those clips are available, is going to be about taxation. And it came to pass. Hata siku ingine nilisema ministers watarishafuliwa and it happened. So we planted the seed of telling young people that this finance bill is not good for you. And they took it and they internalized. And they made short videos. And we all started pushing our friends towards agreeing that this was not good for the country. Again, I remind you, I never had a problem with personalities. I had a problem with what they bring to the table that is bad for us. Because of that push, we lost so many young lives. And most of the times I feel very guilty about the fact that we had to lose even one life to drop the finance bill. And that's why today I am very cautious in telling young people, I will not sleep if I hear another young person has been shot or has died or is missing because of this. And that's why I keep telling people we are not cowards, but I think at the same time we are not fools. And throwing our bodies at Kenya Kwanza administration right now is not the best decision. I was giving them an example. Why don't we wake up tomorrow and go to Embu and go to the family of the young person who died and contribute a few coins and have tents and chairs and have a big prayer meeting and invite the whole of Embu and have an opportunity to air on national media what is going on. Because when you tell an old woman in Embu to go for demonstrations, it may be hard.
Yeah.
But when you tell her to come for prayers at that home, she will come. And then we go to, and if we do 60 prayer meetings for all the 60 young people who are missing in their homes, we create more sensitization about this. And we draw more people towards that common goal. If they want to come and tear gas at that prayer meeting when we are, because we will, after the prayers, we'll definitely have an opportunity to speak to this evil. And that way our voice will be heard better. So I am telling Kenyans, a time has come when the streets are no longer the most tenable way for us to do it. Let them keep their tear gas.
Yeah.
We will still cause them to look for us because we are protesting. But I beseech young people in the name of God, I do not think that it is appropriate to draw anybody's mother naked, semi-naked, and to bring their bodies to disrepute. It's not necessary in this fight.
Yeah, Fanya Mambo, hold it right there. Damn. We need a water break. Guys, Fanya Mambo Kinuthia is in the building. We're talking all things abductions and the criminalization of youth activism in the 254. Tunarudi in just a bit, but right now I've got a banger. Calligraph Jones and Bridget Blue, the mark is back. Twendekazi.
Stream your favorite show on SpiceFM, live online.